My dear governors-elect, United States President John Kennedy once remarked that pursuit of peace is not as dramatic as the pursuit of war, and yet we have no more urgent a task. Many of us simply take peace and war for granted until it strikes us personally. And so I want to start with a story. One sunny morning, two suicide bombers filled a van with plastic explosives and drove it towards a building belonging to the defense establishment of that country. When 6 security personnel outside the building stopped them, the 2 men inside the van detonated the explosive charge. All 8 were killed instantly, along with extensive damage to 15 houses nearby, with debris strewn for blocks. In total, 21 people were killed, and 175 more were injured, including the very young pupils of the nursery wing of a well-known girls' school next door. Now, as I tell you this story nearly 30 years after it happened, what strikes me is that this could have happened anywhere in the world, in any city, maybe even your own. In the last 35 or so years, there have been nearly 5,000 suicide attacks in over 40 countries, killing over 45,000 people. But this one bombing that I'm telling you today happened in my home city of Colombo, in Sri Lanka, in 1991, when I had just been made district governor. When the bomb went off about 11 in the morning, it shattered windows in my home more than a kilometer away. I was in the office, but when my wife heard it, she instinctively sensed, as mothers do, that it was coming from the direction of our daughter's school. Our daughter Prashanti, 8 years old then, had fought with her mother just that morning for some extra pocket money to buy new pencils. And in fact, I had to intervene on behalf of my daughter, thus facing in the process charges of catering to my daughter's whims. The little girl was walking back to class from the stationery shop in her school when the bomb went off next door. All she remembers about that day is one moment walking on the sidewalk, proudly clutching her new pencils, and the next being flung aside, the air filled with sand, her ears ringing, and everywhere around her, terrified children screaming, bleeding, and running. She remembers seeing a roof collapse, and all of them being shepherded into a garden, and to stay there until my wife rushed to the school to collect her and brought her back to our home, which was still filled with broken glass and my daughter's precious Labrador dog running around with glass shards on his back. That war in Sri Lanka lasted for over 25 years and left a scar which will be long remembered. The question is, what can one person or one body like Rotary do against such odds? At this moment, there are ongoing conflicts on nearly every continent of the world. The displaced number are in the tens of millions. So many children have lost so much, so many childhoods gone forever, so many families financially affected, and some having lost the main breadwinner. So much infrastructure left unbuilt because resources were diverted to fighting. And as we know so well, the war does not end when the truce is signed, and the trauma and the memories never really go away. We Rotarians realized long ago that if we still hope for peace, and we do, We cannot hope that others will build it for us. We cannot wait for governments or for the United Nations. We cannot expect peace to be handed to us from above. We must build the foundations for it from below. And so, we have approached the business of peace building in a very different way. We cannot and would not fight violence with violence, but we can aggressively wage peace with education, with health, with self-sufficiency, and with hope. We can wage peace by doing our best to make sure that there is no one in the world who feels they have nothing to lose. And we can wage peace by training people with the skills and the understanding to resolve conflict, to stop it even before it begins. The consequences of these thoughts was the launch of our Rotary Peace Centers, which was also the culmination of our dreams of building a university. We realized that we did not need to build a brick and mortar university because the universities had already been built. We only needed to create the peace centers within them, and today we have 7 centers at 8 great universities around the world. Yes, today peace building is a key component of the Rotary sphere. Peace building and conflict prevention, my friends, has always been an area of focus for us. Last year, we launched the first class at the new Rotary Peace Center at Makerere University in Kampala, Uganda, the first Rotary Peace Center on the African continent. Additionally, we have decided to establish a future peace center in the Middle East and North Africa region, made possible by an extraordinarily generous pledge which we have signed with the Otto and Fran Walter Foundation to cover all costs. This is a major opportunity for Rotary because the Middle East is still the world's most challenging region, and can you imagine the potential for Rotary to do good and burnish our reputation as a global peace builder? Can you imagine the public relations value of this program? The generosity of all Rotary Peace Center donors has enabled over 1,500 Peace Fellows to learn new strategies for peace building and development. They in turn teach others, so the reach becomes exponential. Stephanie Woolard from Australia studied at Uppsala University in Sweden. She mobilized funds and set up a center in Nepal for disabled women to run a sustainable business. Lucas Pina from Colombia graduated from Bradford University in England and now works restoring lands to poor farmers who have had their lands stolen. Naing Ko, who was sentenced to imprisonment in his home country of Myanmar, graduated out of Queensland University in Australia, now works on the many aspects of peace building with his former jailer. Clearly, our peace centers have great scope. But we must also make the Rotary Peace Centers a freestanding program. That means the endowment must reach the point where its spendable earnings fully support the program each year. We have at this point about $185 million in gifts and commitments, including the Walter gift. It seems evident then the continued growth of the program is contingent upon our ability to raise enough support to fund that progression, and that's where each of you can help. You can also encourage clubs to support by sharing these stories of impact, encouraging them to enroll in the online Rotary Positive Peace Academy, and learning more about how to build sustainable peace in your communities. We know that we are already making a difference. Our impact may still be small, but it will grow. Year by year, Peace Fellow by Peace Fellow, Rotary member by Rotary member, it will grow. And if I can paraphrase what a wise person said, never forget that Rotary is one of a kind. Never forget that if there weren't any need for us in all our uniqueness to be on this earth, we wouldn't be here in the first place. And never forget, no matter how old life's challenges and problems seem to be, one organization like Rotary, our Rotary, can make a substantial difference in the world. In fact, it is always because of one person, my friends, or one organization that all the changes that matter in the world do happen. In this case, with your support, maybe we are that one.